Hello, and welcome back to Literary Reflection. Today's book is One Can See Differently by Eugene St. Martin and voiced by Tom Bauer. E.C. continues his reflections even as his view of the world changes. Now let's sit back and enjoy One Can See Differently by Eugene St. Martin.
Struggling to get out of bed. Then he thought, when I'm doing everything for God, and when my thoughts are to love God, there is nothing to be scared of. So he got up and went on to work. Today at work at the YMCA, he was working to help get the tennis courts ready for a wheelchair tennis tournament. He was working to replace the rollers on the squeegees. These are instruments used to spread out the water on the tennis courts so the water can dry faster. The trick is to get a pair of needle-nose pliers. When E.C. was doing this, he thought of Liz Dixon and how often she did this in the parks. Liz has since passed on. Still, E.C. thought of Liz. How one does one's work and then one goes on as Liz did. And he thought, do the work with the heart of Jesus and in Jesus' heart. Still, E.C. thought further about tennis and the YMCA. He thought in tennis, one needs another person to play with, to play the game. No one can play it by themselves. And further, E.C. thought about the YMCA and the park system. He thought how they could be a spirit of unity in our community. And E.C. thought about his job as a way to help people play smoothly, to help people to walk around more smoothly. A lot of the things that keep us from moving in a smooth way are our resentments and grudges. They seem to gum up our movement, our thinking, and our flow. Oh, how to turn my resentment into love, E.C. thought. How to transform my thoughts and actions to love God today in all that I do and think. There was an ancient symbol E.C. remembered reading about that related to this. It was St. George holding a sword to the dragon, possibly holding the sword to the dragon's throat and heart. And the interesting thing was that St. George refrained from killing the dragon. The symbol, as E.C. recalled, was that the dragon represents those aggressive tendencies inside us, those resentments, the anger. And St. George, by harnessing the dragon, is the symbol how we can turn those resentments, grudges, anger into love, compassion, thoughts of our fellow man and ourselves. Recycle our grudges and anger. Pope Francis E.C. was told, encouraged us all to say, thank you. By doing that and being grateful, we can help turn around our grudges and resentments. Oh, may God sing through me, E.C. thought, and may I hear God singing through other people. Gee, I wish I could stop and see each person, E.C. thought, and see the beauty in each person. Well, the other night, E.C. was fortunate to play doubles in the tennis round robin. He found that he needed to honor the opponents and his partner. He found that it worked better for him to refrain from getting involved in his opponent's personality, whether they were sad or happy. Instead, keep it a thinking game. Refrain from going on their side of the net. And he thought, the ball is round. There is a hole here, and I am part of the hole. The night before, E.C. had heard a talk by Sheriff Gautreaux. The sheriff talked about the need for a servant heart. He talked about how we need to work on relationships every day. He talked about how people need to work together, to be instruments of unity. And E.C. thought that Jesus would be for all people. God would be open to all people. This past 3 months, E.C. saw this action in the work of men named Kelvin, Roger, and Randy. These men, among others, spent the last 3 months rebuilding the tennis courts at the YMCA. Yes, they were paid. Still, their hearts went further in how they worked so others could benefit and be able to play and to learn and to be with each other. In tennis, one needs to open up one's heart to another, and in practicing and playing tennis with another, that is what one is really doing. Oh, it is hard to let go, to open our heart to another. So EC has been thinking about these things as he was going about his life and as he went to church lately, and he came up with this strategy. He would show up and man his post and do the best he could at teaching tennis and work. He would honor God and honor others. He heard in the church readings, "A house divided will fall," and EC remembered part of a song sung at adoration. "Fill the heavens with sweet accord, holy, holy, holy Lord." Oh, we often lose our way, forget about our strategies, aspirations, and our motivation. Perhaps it could be like in tennis, where a person sets up their target and shoots for that and channels his or her stroke, his shot to that target, his game versus doing it my way or versus a model. And a person works with the ingredients given him to make the adjustments. So when we lose our way, we can notice our shot in relation to our target. We can get up and take another shot at it without being so beady-eyed. Keep going for the target, and about the fourth ball, our ball will go closer to the target. It will do this without anyone saying anything. The body is the coach. That deep inside each of us is the Spirit of God. That deep inside of us is love. That Spirit of God is inside us, nurtured by Jesus and the Holy Spirit. A lot of times that true love and true spirit is covered up, needs to be uncovered, so it can connect in a stronger way, so the light can shine out. We are part of a whole. EC realized he was part of a whole at the YMCA. He needed to refrain from attempting to control everything and everyone. To refrain from setting everyone straight, he needed to give that up for Lent. He needed to expect nothing. He needed to be like an empty cup of water and open to learn, adjusting as one goes along. He can do one thing. He can be one part of the whole. EC thought about these ideas. He thought, it is one thing to be a priest, for people to notice me. Another to do a priest, to do as a priest does, tend to. It is one thing to be a tennis teacher, another to teach tennis. Oh, to be someone. Oh, to be noticed. Oh, to be compared to someone. It is another thing to follow one's interest. It is another thing to follow one's call from God. It is another thing to support someone like Meg in her life in what she does for God. Oh, I refrain from feeling good about myself. Oh, I have cracks inside. I work to cover them up. It is another thing to accept the cracks. For God loves me, cracks and all, and I can turn the cracks into a way of seeing, into an asset. The other night, the priest at church described a way of seeing differently. He said for us to look at the person as a mystery, and us to be present to them versus to fix them. He went on to say that the person is of value and worth spending time with, worth being present to. That idea is different than throwing money at them. Instead, spend time with them. EC thought this is hard with difficult people. Then EC thought no one is perfect. People give what they can give. EC went on thinking, I get angry when I look at what others are doing. He said I'm always focusing on what others are doing versus focusing on my ball and what I'm doing with it. I'm always keeping my eye on the other person's donut versus my donut. So much comparing of myself with another, and so much competing with another. It could be in conversation. It could be in one tennis program competing with another. So much competition and comparing instead of helping the person who is standing in front of me now. Helping the person be able to play tennis. Ah, so much reacting. Suppose one could play tennis like one was playing music, where one person responds to the music of the other player, and together they make a song, a harmony. So, one day EC was thinking about these things at adoration. When the host is elevated in the monstrance, E.C. kept looking at the host in the monstrance, and he kept looking at the cross with Jesus on it. He refrained from thinking. He cleared his mind. He simply looked. He quietened his mind. And a funny thing happened. He heard the sounds of the poor when looking at Jesus in the monstrance. Though not out loud, still he heard the sounds of the poor. It was as clear as if he picked up a telephone and listened to the sounds at the other end. And it said, "Feed my people." What E.C. experienced is like what Father Reuben had talked about in church the other day when he asked that we be quiet and listen instead of telling God what to do. To listen. E.C. was happy because he found a new way to pray. He found a way to quieten and simply look at Jesus on the cross and in the monstrance. Oh, he heard, "Feed my people." Could this mean to feed them spiritually as well as physically? Could this mean to bring Holy Communion to those sick and shut in? E.C. has often thought in tennis matches, it is how we see things, and it is what we think. What is our purpose? In tennis, we can be proactive rather than reactive. We can create angles and look for opportunities to come forward. Come forward to play the net or to use our favorite shot and take control of the point. In both cases, using the ingredients of time and space to play our opponent or opponents, taking time and space from them, and giving time and space to ourselves in order to place the ball a little out of reach and in bounds. We can in tennis turn things around in how we see things and how we follow through in our actions. So much is helped with having solid fundamentals on our part. So much is helped by having my eye on my ball versus on my opponent's ball. Oh yes, I need to know what my opponent can do. Still, I need to know what I can do and what I'm doing as well as the conditions. Still, it helps for me to be calm, and that is helped by my focusing on my donut versus the whole. By focusing on the good things I have going in the match and in the game versus what is missing. By being grateful for what I do have in my life now. I can be calmer. I can be more humble. So E.C. wished and prayed to be calmer for people and himself. He further learned that Lent is a time to practice these things in a special way. A special kind of practice, if you will. He heard in church that God comes to us no matter who we are or where we come from.
That was One Can See Differently by Eugene St. Martin and voiced by Tom Bauer. To hear more of E.C.'s evolving wisdom, you can purchase a physical copy. Please go to Amazon or Barnes & Nobles. If you prefer the audiobook, check it out on Audible. This was Literary Reflections. See you next time.